For the people who are not as familiar with the school, we built the new Hajar STEM Center, and of course when we did that we knew the Pope Science Hall would come down. So that huge construction project out there is a $30 million middle school, which we're very, very excited about. And as soon as that middle school is finished, which will be about a year from now, next February, maybe somewhere around there, we will bring down the old Umpleby building. And in place of the old Umpleby building, we will start the construction of a performance hall. And the performance hall will be for everything in music. We don't have a lot of spaces big enough for our music program anymore, and the performance hall is going to allow for just a beautiful, absolutely stunning venue for music. And then theater will remain in the old Schenck Auditorium, and they will probably play around with that, and that will be theater only. So we're really excited, and for the alumni that are here, I hope you'll come back and actually hear us in that new performance hall in a couple of years. And in the meantime, come back once in a while for concerts. Maria Sanchez-Gardner and Caroline do a great job of kind of letting people know when events are there, and it's really, really great to see you. We, the three of us, and my wife Annette, who somewhere is Annette, hi Annette, we're actually headed out to California in a couple of weeks to visit alumni in California, which is really great because we get to go surfing with them. So we're really, really excited about that. But you know what? It is an interesting position in my work to pause once in a while and just honor people who've had a huge effect on many, many students over many, many years. And it's amazing too in my work to hear people who've long passed away and people are still talking about them and talking about the effect that they've had on their lives. Yeah. And it's actually really humbling. It's just very, very humbling. And Joseph is one of those names that I've heard about for a long time, and as I understand it, and I'm not sure if I have this perfectly content, in the class of '67 was here in 2017 celebrating their 50th anniversary when they found out that Joseph Erwin had passed away. So it was in the middle of your celebration at the moment you heard this person who had such an impact on your lives passed away. And I think that was the moment where they all decided they wanted to do something in his memory. I have a few things here I want to read, and then before we pull the thing down, I'm going to have a couple of the alumni who want to say a few words as well. Before I start though, up here is a beautiful plaque image of Joseph and a sort of a montage and a dedication. We scrambled a little bit and we missed out on one thing, and that's the fact that these walls get beat because of the instruments. So we will, alumni, repaint this wall, really center that plaque and make it look really beautifully presentable. So I'm a little bit apologetic for this fraction. I'm so sorry.
That means they're playing well in here.
They're playing well. It's a very, very, very well used room. So here's a couple things that were written after Joseph's passing. And as I told you in there, in 76, when he left the school, he and his wife Kathleen went to Tryon, North Carolina. Tryon, North Carolina, and that's where they retired to, and he, of course, passed away in 2017. But this is a couple of the things that were written when he passed away. We're sad to report the death of Mr. Joseph Erwin, a longtime faculty member at Dwight School on June 1st, 2017. Joe, as we referred to him, began teaching piano at the Dwight School and became the music director in 1954. And I always like to pause and realize that was the year I was born, 54. He directed the choir. And this, by the way, is from our publications. And for some of the people who've been around the school for a long time, this really kind of means a lot to me. He created the bell choir and the orchestra. He created the bell choir. And these bells have been around in the school for a long time. So to be talking about the person who actually created the bell choir is pretty impressive. In addition, he was the dean of faculty under Marguerite Hanson. And he served as an advisor to both the student government and the 11th grade. Joe stayed at the school when Dwight School merged with the boys' school in '73 and then moved on to North Carolina with his wife in 1976. When Kathleen and Joe moved to North Carolina, one of the first things he did when the Tryon Congregational Church asked him to be their organist and choir director was, as I said in the other room, was to get a set of handbells made from Whitechapel to start a bell choir in the new church. Here's a quote from a chapter of the school's Performing Arts and Music section of the recently published History of Dwight-Englewood School. Some of you might actually have that. It was written by Carl Zimmerman, who's a graduate of the Boys' School class of '61, and he wrote this in 2014. Quote, "But for generations of Dwight girls, music meant Joseph Erwin.
Yes.
Mr. Erwin came to Dwight as an accompanist for the choral club and a piano teacher for the boarding students in 1948. In 1954, he became the director of the music department, where he developed a fine curriculum and an image to some as a friend more than a teacher. One of Mr. Erwin's efforts, particularly well known and loved by us all, is the Christmas pageant, which is performed jointly by the drama department. Here he blends handbells and voices, which together with the tableau created an atmosphere where the peace and joy of the holiday season must be felt. Unquote. And of course, as many of you know, after a few years after the schools merged, at the time he left, the Christmas pageant faded away. In many reasons because of the great diversity of the school, but also I think because of the man who created it left the school. From his obituary, his wife Kathleen shared, quote, "To let you know by this paraphrase of Thomas Wolfe, which he had set to beautiful music, that Joseph A. Erwin, quote, left the world he knew for greater knowing on June 1st, 2017. Joseph's understanding of and ability to communicate to so many, the meaning he saw in great music will be his heritage," unquote.
Yes, it will be.
Wonderful statement. Before we pull down the little Dwight-Englewood clock, a couple of alumni wanted to say a few words while we're here. Please.
Well, these aren't a few words, they're not my words. They're his wife,
Would you like to introduce yourself? Because some people will
Roberta
not know.
Culver, class of '62. And I took piano from him and also sang in the chorus, and he was a great friend and we all loved him. He's hard to replace. So Mrs. Erwin, when she knew she couldn't make it, she's 95 now and she's still living in Tryon, North Carolina. She wrote this and to me to pass on to all of you, but particularly to Mr. Erwin's girls, his students whom he thought of as friends with whom he could share his rare understanding of music, as well as some of your trials and tribulations. He learned from teaching you his wisdom, which led to his living a most gracious and meaningful life. He was ever glad to have had all those years with you, and he cherished the continuing connection with so many of you. I thank you for all you have meant to us, Katie. And a letter he wrote to my class when we were graduating, and I found it 50 years later. It was incredible. It was in a drawer. It was yellow and folded, and almost tossed it. But this was his farewell message to us. It was meant to be read because I think it epitomizes what he stood for. This is September 1, 1962. Dear seniors, freshmen, because we're going to college. It does not seem quite real that you are about to depart and that I will not see you at Dwight this year. But I guess this is because I feel that the greater reality is in spirit, where we are all bound together to the extent that we have given and received of one another in the past. Certainly your great gifts and love to so many of us will make your presence real at Dwight this year and for years to come. May I use this way with those I might not see to express my gratitude for the past and love in the future. May your life be filled with confidence and joyful fulfillment and the knowledge that you are unique in all the world. You are important, you are needed, you are loved. God bless you wherever you go. My love as ever, Joseph Erwin.
Any other alumni want to say something real quick? Please. You have to introduce yourself, because again, many people won't know you.
My name is Allison Chase, and I was in the class of '60. And I was fortunate enough to be in the choir and in the choral group. And I can't express really how much Joe Erwin touched us. We wanted to sing beautifully for him, and we did our best. And I have to say that still to this day, if I hear Fauré's Requiem, which we sang,
Yes.
I start to cry.
Me too.
Probably all of us who were in that group. It was a wonderful, lasting influence
And
on us.
counselor.
And I don't generally come back to Dwight at all, but for this I came back. And I'm glad I did. Thank you.
I'd just like to say something just really briefly.
Again, would you introduce yourself?
Right, I'm Charlotte Merriam Cole, class of 70, and I just want to piggyback on all that has been said, that to the parents here, Mr. Erwin was really the type of teacher that you would want every child to have.
Yes.
He was not only the embodiment of a fantastic teacher, he was a fantastic human being. And he touched all our lives, and we never forgot. He took us into the Metropolitan Opera, he took us to Lincoln Center, he took us Christmas caroling. You know, he did so much in his own time too outside of school, and he made music such an important part of our lives. So he was terrific.
We have a tradition, by the way, that I started when I first arrived at school because I just needed to do something. My first year at the school, there were a few faculty members who were getting ready to retire, and I realized they had been at the school for like 45 years or something. And it was a long time. And we started a tradition at the school, by the way, that when anybody retires who's taught at the school for over 40 years, we name a room after them, and we take the number off the wall. So as some of the girls have been back and seen all the renovations we're doing to Leggett Hall, you'll bump into rooms now that have a name to them and no number. And by the way, it's fun because the parents come back for parents' night and they walk around saying, "Where is this room?" And we don't even, like on the schedule, it might say somebody's name, room, and they don't even know what building it is, anything. It's part of the lore. It's part of what you have to find the room. And what it does is, and Joe Algren, who's our upper school principal, and I, we talked a lot about this. It means that people who were dear to the school forever and ever and ever, people walk around saying their names because they're like, there's not a number. They have to, their classroom is it the Carson room or the whatever room, and it's kind of a neat way to honor people who've been at the school for a long time, who's given a great legacy to the school. And that, along with the names on the building for people who believed in the mission of the school, I think it's a great way for children to grow up and realize all these people that did all this thing many years before they arrived to make the school possible. So with that said, this is one of those moments where, again, we will patch the wall and we're going to make it so beautiful. But this will be something that we will talk about. The music teachers will talk about this gentleman's picture on the wall and talk about him. And what you've allowed to have happen is the fact that his name will linger far beyond your time. And people will talk about this man who, for so many years, had an impact on the school, the program, and for the women. And for me, it's personally gratifying, too, because I will continue to hear of his name. Whenever there's a reunion, I always hear from the girls. I hear something about Joe. Okay, so with that said, the alumni, we're going to come up here. You have to be careful when you just pull. It's just taped up there, so it will come down very easily. But don't pull the picture down. We're going to get a picture of you, Maria Sanchez-Gardner and Carol Azarin, if you want to come up here with the alumni as well.
So everyone come up.
Come
Everyone
on
who
up.
had Mr. Irwin should come
Yes,
up.
come on up. We'll put this in one of those
Amanda?
magazine shots,
Amanda?
so.
Come on.
Caroline, you in here? You are? Maria Sanchez-Gardner? Yes. Can you fit us in? Okay, so with that said, I'm gonna try to. The people that are closest to it, give it a light tug. And by the way, he's very in. He's got some facial hair. Very in. So it says DE Orchestra Room, dedicated by alumni and friends in memory of beloved music teacher Joseph Erwin, longtime director of chorus and bell choir, January 2019. And again, we'll make this really look stunning on the wall once we have some time. So with that, let's get a picture of everybody in front of it. You'll have to come in a little closer. Hey. And by the way, it's really great to see you again. I see you all the time, though. Everybody else, it's great to have you back. Look right here, please.
1, 2, 3. Great, everybody smile. And one more time. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming back. Come back more often, okay?
Thank you.